So I haven't done one of these in a while. It's my overnight. Subscribe if you like. Trying to work on this, how to get it bigger and stuff like that, But over the last few weeks, all I heard is the Giants and Matthew Stafford and whatnot. Why do we need him? Do you honestly think he's gonna like miraculously give us 8 wins? No, it doesn't. He doesn't. It's just this team has too many holes to begin with. Yes, we need a quarterback. Yes, we need just draft one. Cam Ward is the obvious choice here, not Shedeur Sanders. Because I think Cam Ward has the higher ceiling and the higher upside and can improve. But, the Giants are prepared to make a, trade for Stafford. And then you're going to want to pay him $50 million. That'd be a huge mistake. I think Joe Shane should go and get a quarterback that is comfortable of turning the reins over to whoever we draft when that rookie quarterback is ready. And I think Jacoby Brissett fits that mold. Jameis Winston too, maybe. But you honestly think you think the Giants are going to trade for Matt Stafford and then draft a quarterback and then you're going to pay him and then when that rookie quarterback's ready, you're going to say, we're just going to turn the reins over to him. You're not going to do that, Kirk Cousins won't do that again. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. I'd say Derek Carr, but I heard that the Saints are going to have a return. But seriously, just to do this rebuild right, because this team is not winning anytime soon. It's just not. Let's just be real. I have them predicted at 3 wins next year and Brian Dable fired by week 8. When Kansas City obliterates them at home on Sunday Night Football. So, I don't know what else to tell people. Oh, I'm just sick and tired of would you just trade, if you're going to give up, I'll tell you this right now, if Joe Shane trades for Matthews and gives up draft picks, I'm just saying this right now, and I know I said it earlier, and I wrote on Twitter today, and it wasn't kind of popular, but I agree with, that someone said it earlier, that I think at the end of the season, trade Dexter Lawrence. Trade him now while he has value. Because, like I said, the Giants ain't winning anytime soon. And by the time the Giants are actually relevant, he will be near 30. And then you're going to want to trade, and then you want to give something up for him when he doesn't have much value. So, you'd get at least 2 firsts for him. Instantly. Right now. And yes, he is your best player. Right now. On the defensive side. But that run defense looked a little bit better at the end of the season when he wasn't there. And this is a very good interior defensive line draft for linemen. And today in the combine is interior defensive linemen. You don't think that with the way of the sports world, how Luka Doncic got traded, nobody's unfucking touchable. Nobody. But think about it. You trade Dexter Lawrence to, say, someone in the top 10, say like Carolina, that needs defense. You get 2 first-rounders and maybe a third for Dexter Lawrence. Now you have 2 top 10 picks. And then you can go get Mason Graham, one of the top defensive tackles coming out in the draft. And you develop them. And now you have a young line. And then next year, when you're drafting in the top 5 again, because mock drafts right now have the Giants picking first and taking Arch Manning. I mean, the obvious choice right now, I think, for the 3rd pick is Cam Ward. And if they don't get Cam Ward, after the report tonight with Abdul Carter with a stress reaction in his right foot, we need a cornerback. Unless we're going to get one in free agency. Maybe you get Travis Hunter. But as a cornerback only, I just don't see him being a 2-way player in the NFL. It's just, it won't work. I mean, yeah, maybe for a few plays, but if you have him playing full-time cornerback and you got him for like 10 plays as a wide receiver and he gets hurt playing wide receiver, but that's what I think. I think the Giants have a lot of holes to fill. They need a quarterback. They need wide receiver. They need a wide receiver too. They need some offensive line depth. It will depend on free agency. If they decide to get their heads out of their ass and put Evan Neal at guard, when they did that last year, in the last game. I mean, if you look what the Eagles did with Mekhi Becton when he failed as a tackle. You need interior. You need another pass rusher. You can't rely on Azeez Ojulari. When he was healthy, he was great. He was good, but you can't rely on him playing 16 games because he's got injury history. He's always hurt. You need linebackers. You need You need cornerbacks. I think they're going to bring back Pinnock for another year. We definitely, I just think that this team needs so fucking much, and I don't think one fucking player is going to turn 3 wins into 8 instantly. It's just not. Not with Brian Dable. Because did you honestly think, as bad as, Daniel Jones played, did you honestly think by trying to help him out? And I think they just did that to set him up to fail, Dable. Because I didn't think, coming off of, because he was the only one that threw a player under the bus, and that was Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones had no excuse last year. He didn't. But they didn't help him. And that's the problem. I mean, let's be honest here. Did anyone improve in that second half of the year? Besides maybe Tyrone Tracy and, Malik Neighbors. That improved. Maybe Mikey McFadden? But I just don't see Brian Daboll and his coaching staff improve. And at first they gotta fix the culture in the locker room to begin with. And the report card that came out, that was a bunch of fucking bullshit. Brian Daboll, B+. Are we fucking serious here? He should have got a fucking D. I think, free agency's in a couple of weeks. I see the Giants getting into, rebuilding the trenches for depth. And maybe we'll get a wide receiver too. But I think the Giants should kick the tires on Alec Pierce. He'd be your ideal number 2 wide receiver. And you probably trade maybe a third, next year's third, and a fourth for him. Because he's affordable. And it's his last year on a rookie deal before he becomes a free agent. I think that would be an ideal wide receiver too, with Malik Neighbors. I mean, yes, everybody wants Darius Slayton back. Yes, Darius Slayton, he would be the veteran of the wide receiver group, but to me, he was too inconsistent. And I think that's on the coaching staff where, with the Daniel Jones disaster, and he was the one that spoke up, because we all know he's the one that spoke up. And for 2 straight weeks, he didn't get a target until late fourth quarter. So, this team is a literal mess, and it doesn't matter what happens, because you should have fired Mike Kafka, you should have fired Brian Daboll, you should have fired Shane Bowen. And start from there. But John Mara decides to fucking keep him. And then on top of that, you don't even know who's going to call the plays next year. You're going to give it back to Mike Kafka after you took it away from the year before, last year? That's why this is a fucking mess. And it needs to be fucking cleaned up. And I don't think it will be. And everyone's on Shane now. Like Shane, with these draft picks. At the end of Hard Knocks, when Liev Schreiber said that Joe Shane picks the players to builds this team, and it's up to Brian Daboll and his coaching staff to develop. But yet Joe Shane gets the fucking blame. When it's Brian Daboll and his coaching staff all along that takes a full blame because they can't develop and can't make this team better. Brian Daboll has done absolutely nothing these last 2 seasons. But we'll see what happens during the combine. We'll see what happens free agency in 2 weeks. But that's how I see it. I'm just sick and tired of hearing Giants and Matt Stafford that they're really, really interested. I just don't see it. you're going to give him $50 million for 2 years, then you're going to go right back to where you fucking started. Just draft Cam Ward, and if you can't draft Cam Ward, Kyle McCord, I think, would be an ideal second choice. Maybe Jackson Dart, but he's got to learn an NFL offense. Like, big time. Because they did a lot of heavy play action. And it was, he would do a lot of running. So, I just think Kyle McCord would be your obvious second choice later on. If you cannot get Cam Ward, or, if they take Sanders, I'll say this right now about Sanders. I think the Jets should take him, but Joe Shane and Brian Dable were literally, all season, all this year, going to Colorado, going to practice, watching Sanders. My issue with Sanders is he holds the ball too long. He hasn't had a run game. And he took too many sacks. And he's had one coach, and that's his dad. And yes, his offensive coordinator was a former Giants head coach who actually got the most out of Daniel Jones. That would be somewhat of a positive, but I just think that Shedeur Sanders is not it. Because it'll be a circus. Because if the Giants do take Sanders and he starts in the beginning of the season, we'll just say hypothetically, and the Giants are one in whatever, Deion's gonna start chirping. He's gonna put his 2 fucking cents in. He's gonna chirp, and it's gonna be fucking national. And it's just going to be turned into a fucking circus. To me, it's already a circus because, with Dable following around like a fucking puppy dog during the fucking Senior Bowl, that really just like, you know what? Cam Ward, I think, is obvious. I think Joe Shane has to, that's the swing you need to take. If he's saying about he's going to take swings at a quarterback, that's the swing you need to take. And hope you hit a home run. Because this team needs so much. Because the division got 5 times better. We'll see what happens in free agency. But that's what I believe. I believe if this is Joe Shane's one more shot, he cannot miss. He just cannot. And he cannot be desperate and start overpaying people. Because that's where you're going to get in serious trouble. You have a little bit of, you have cap space, and you can create more. And you can create a lot more by trading Dexter Lawrence. And I know that's going to be unpopular to the fans, but you know what? Like I said, this team is not winning anytime soon. And by the time they start winning, he'll be near 30. And then the Giants can develop very good interior defensive linemen. You had Dalvin Tomlinson and Jonathan Hankins and whatnot. They were good for periods until they regressed. Why don't we just get ahead of this time? Trade him now while he has value. Just fucking trade him for 2 firsts. You get 2 firsts or even 3 firsts. Imagine next year you have 2 first-rounders again. If you trade Dexter Lawrence and you have 2 first-rounders this year, but if you give up the number 3, you have no fucking choice. Obvious, no choice but to trade Dexter Lawrence, and that's all there is to it. If you give up that number 3 pick for Stafford, that means you're giving fucking Sean McVay a fucking avenue to the fucking NFC Championship game. After, you think Giant fans are going to be happy with that after what they did with Saquon? After what happened all this year? That we couldn't even, but that's what I think. I think the Giants need to do this right. They need to do it right. That's my opinion. I mean, but we'll see. But that's all for this evening. Probably next couple weeks I'll probably do something on the Yankees. The injuries are starting to starting to creep up a little bit. Stanton, Efros. I mean, better now than, but it's early. But next couple weeks, I'll talk about the Yankees, what I think about them.